this might be a tough decision right now.
My team did absolutely
NFL games that were like,
Right.
whoa.
I actually don't
Had
understand.
a lot of mixed feelings. Welcome, Disgruntled. We have another guest here on the Legal Domains.
Gotta get like real in there, you know?
Hey now.
Gotta get, oh my god, this dude in this fucking song. It's like, you can't fucking
My
stop.
money don't. My money don't jiggle.
Oh, yeah.
It fold for sure.
For sure. For sure.
I want to see you wiggle.
Just wanted the dog to have a little drink,
A little pep in his step.
a little pep in his
So what are we doing for this episode of the podcast? When was the last time you were on this podcast? Feels
been
like
a while,
forever.
right? I've only been on like dumb episodes.
Dumb episodes, you fucking bitch.
I'm joking. I've only like I haven't been like on with just you in a while. Cause I was in the background of the Brendan episode. I was with Josh and you in one episode, and then I appeared with Janet through half of 2 episodes. But other than that, yeah, hasn't been just me and you in a while. I feel like we did the free agency predictions and we did really bad. It's not over yet, technically. In fact, last year it didn't end until like middle of the season when someone finally signed with a team after being a free agent for half the season. So, I forget who that was, but that was funny. Let me look actually. We didn't expect to get a lot of points with this just because we never really do with this type of stuff. I mean, a lot of people hardly can predict this anyways. Especially with like the bigger names, and like also we don't give ourselves points for re-signing as well. Like that would be too easy, you know what I mean? Let me look at the old free agency. I won by a lot more. No, not a lot more. We had more because we did re-signings last year, and most of the ones we got right were re-signings. But the one we got right that wasn't a re-signing, which was really random, was Joe Thuney to the Chiefs from New England. But then I also got Will Fuller to Miami because I thought Deshaun Watson would also end up going to Miami, but then he ended up not, so it was this like weird thing.
Yeah. Comparatively to this one, we did ask. I mean, we did ask before too, but at least both of us got at least one, and I don't think I'm going to get anyone.
Yeah, because we didn't do re-signings this year. I mean, it's still possible we could get some of these. You could probably get both the retiree ones, depending on how that goes. Because you predicted 2 people to retire, and Rob Gronkowski has already said that he's not thinking about football right now. Not to say he won't sign with someone near the season start, but he's still kind of hinting towards like not being sure what he wants to do. So that could be a sign of you being right. I don't think the Bengals will actually end up signing him. I feel like at this point the Bengals don't want to like pick him up too late.
Mm.
I feel like he'll probably re-sign with the Bucs if he's not retiring.
Yeah, because I think he would rather play with Tom Brady before any other team. Or I feel like it's either he plays for Tom Brady or he retires.
Yeah.
Because they know he wants to end his career not playing with him.
Yeah. Melvin Ingram also not signed with anyone yet. Giants and Vikings aren't like ideal landing spots for him, I feel like. That's what we predicted. I feel like he wants to go to a winner given his age, and you know, he's still good, and he's coming off of the Chiefs, which, you know, championship winning team. But I'm sure if like Giants and Vikings get desperate after like not landing who they wanted in the draft, maybe they throw a lot of money at him and he'd eventually go there. It's possible. Jadeveon Clowney, there's been hints that he might re-sign with the Browns because Myles Garrett really wants him to come back. Dwayne Brown has been hinting at returning to the Seahawks. They've been talking about it, but that might also be a post-draft thing, depending on how the Seahawks draft, if they get his replacement or not. Odell Beckham Jr. has literally, like, I feel like there's been no rumors circulating recently about him. He's just kind of there. And then Tyron Matthew has been taking his time. Eagles potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Eagles are in every rumor and every sort of facet because I feel like they were in the rumors for Deshaun Watson, for Odell Beckham, and they were one of the top people for
Well, he actually visited
Honey
them
Batters.
as well, though.
Yeah.
Tyron visited Eagles, right?
It was just a Zoom call. He visited the Saints, I believe.
Well, yeah, it was a digital visit, but it
Yeah.
was still like a visit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's clear interest, so I mean, I wouldn't even call that a rumor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have they signed another safety in free agency? Because that's when the Colts knew we weren't going to get him. Is when we signed the other Chiefs safety and then also Rodney McLeod. And I'm pretty sure the Saints have also signed a safety in free agency, but definitely not one that's very prominent. So they could still pick him up maybe. I think that's his more likely landing spot. I said the Ravens initially, but then they got someone else. They got another guy at safety. It was Marcus Williams from New Orleans. So New Orleans has a spot to fill as far as elite safeties go. And the Buccaneers, I still disagree with you on that one. I don't think they need a safety there because they got that guy going into his third year now. What's his name? He's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Like, his name is on the edge of my tongue. Tip of my tongue. Edge of my tongue. What the fuck? What the fuck?
That's great.
But, yeah.
So, yeah, those are the guys that we don't know.
Yeah.
But here are all the ones that we do know about who have signed. Again, we got, like, so many of these wrong. But J.C. Jackson, I said we'd go to the Raiders. But he actually went to a divisional rival. He went to the Chargers because of a connection with another defensive back there. I think they went to high school or college together, something like that. And, all those teams have been, like, really building up their rosters, and that was, like, a big blockbuster move that kind of signified that. One of the blockbuster moves from this division, at least. And you said Cowboys, which I mean, they need a quarterback. I would agree with that, but it just wasn't in the cards for them. They've had actually pretty bad free agency luck. Tyron Armstead, after a lot of deliberation, a lot of people thought he would be one of the first people off the board with like a really big contract. A lot of people wanted him to go to the Colts, but I knew through like insider information, not like directly from me, but like people who have insider information. That'd be crazy if I did though.
Imagine just like you. I don't know.
Calls is like, hey, I don't think we're gonna go with Tyron Armstead. Sorry. I'm like, oh, thanks, Bally. I'll make sure to predict that. I think we had pretty good ideas though about Bengals and Giants, but eventually went to the Dolphins because I don't know. It's gonna be a new look for him. New offensive coordinator. Not offense coordinator. New offensive-minded head coach. Fresh off the block. He's like the new kid in town that everyone is like intrigued by. So I think Dolphins make sense to him, and I think they'll be an interesting run team once they draft some better running backs. Sorry, Myles Gaskin. And then maybe Tua will play a hand in that as well. But they're probably too worried about his injury proneness. Von Miller, though, he actually went to the Bills. That was probably one of the biggest surprises out of all of free agency. I don't think the Bills really, really needed an edge rusher, but they just threw a lot of money at him, and so he had no choice but to just like say yes. It was an offer he couldn't refuse, and he basically mentioned that in his interview. His opening interview as well. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. We both said he'd go to the Broncos, which I think there was interest there, but Broncos weren't going to throw the bag at him after getting Russell and all the other stuff that went down. Chandler Jones, edge rusher. I said Eagles, you said Colts. Which, in your defense, was close because the Raiders wouldn't have signed Chandler Jones if they didn't give Ngakoue. They didn't trade Ngakoue to the Colts. So, in extension, it was like a Colts signing of an edge rusher through Chandler Jones, but it wasn't Chandler Jones himself.
Damn.
So, I'll give you half a point for that.
Thanks.
Allen Robinson supposedly has taken Odell Beckham's spot with the Rams. I said he would go to the Patriots. I thought that would be a really good fit, honestly, but it didn't work out. And you said Dolphins, but Dolphins... I don't know. Have the Dolphins signed another wide receiver in this free agency? I don't think so.
I don't believe it was just Tyreek Hill. I don't think.
Oh right, of course. Yeah, I think they could still use like more depth there, but Yeah, their blockbuster one ended up being Tyreek Hill. That makes sense. That offense is gonna be stacked. The things they can do with Tyreek as like a gadget guy as well with Tyron Armstead will be interesting.
2 of the fastest players in the NFL are on the same team.
That's true.
Waddle and Hill. Waddle
is fast. But he's not like a deep threat either, whereas Tyreek Hill is, so it's going to be like a really good combination for them. I mean, like, Waddle could be a deep threat. He just wasn't used as one recently. I mean, in the last year, and he did really well regardless. Emmanuel Ogba from Miami re-signed with the Dolphins. I said he'd go to the Colts. We got a different edge rusher. And you said Panthers. Panthers lost an edge rusher. I don't know if they've actually gotten another one. I feel like Panthers have gotten really bad free agency look. I don't think anyone really wants to sign with them right now, especially with everyone coming to AFC, like wanting to really competitive environment apparently. Brandon Scherf went to the Jaguars, and one of the Jaguars' bigger moves this free agency to kind of like, they're just, I mean, every free agency, it feels like they just throw a lot of money at free agents.
Yeah.
They have a guard for Trevor Lawrence. And not to say that that's a bad idea. I mean, Trevor Lawrence needs a guard, a good guard. Brandon Scherf is one. Maybe they paid him too much. I don't know. We'll see. Cardinals and Bengals were our predictions. And, I mean, Bengals was just like an easy prediction, I feel like, because they, like, obvious from the Super Bowl, they needed help there. And then Cardinals as well. I feel like Kyler Murray is kind of upset with the Cardinals. So I thought maybe Cardinals would throw money at some O-lineman to keep him happy. But I don't think they've really done that. So he might just remain unhappy. We'll see. Marcus Williams, safety from the New Orleans. He signed with the Ravens. He wasn't the safety. He wasn't the safety I thought he'd go to the Ravens. But I say that's a half a point for me to say that the Ravens would take one of the top 2 safeties. You know?
Yeah.
Half a point for me. Brownie points.
Kudos to you.
Thanks, man. Ryan Jensen re-signed with the Bucs only because Tom Brady came back, and so that was unfair to us. We didn't know that Tom Brady was coming back, so
Fucking Tom Brady.
Predicting. Here's the funny one. Stephon Gilmore. We both said we'd go to the Titans, and he went to the Colts.
Honestly, that's fucking our luck with it too. Yeah, but I have finally finished my prediction, so I can actually be present in this conversation.
Hey. What do you think of that signing to the Colts? Does that like put them over? I mean, with the combination of trading for Matt Ryan and Ngakoue and getting Rodney McLeod, do you think that this recent signing of Stephon Gilmore puts them over the top for the division? Let's just say the division, because the conference is very hectic.
You know, last year I was very confident on them. Maybe a little too overconfident with Carson Wentz's situation and just their defense. I
was biased at the time, though.
Yeah, but I was going to take it down a couple pegs. But I still say that they win the division. I don't know how far they're going to go into the playoffs. I think they can get to the second round, possibly the third Champions Conference. I can see that. I wouldn't be surprised with that defense. But I don't know how they're going to perform in the playoffs because it's still a team that hasn't had a lot of experience within the playoffs. So I don't know how. Yeah. I think they're going to make it to the playoffs this year because they filled some gaps that they needed last year that weren't present this year, like a quarterback. And
well, I think the nice thing about our signings is that a lot of these guys have a lot of playoff experience. Matt Ryan notably went to the Super Bowl. I mean, not the ideal outcome there, obviously. But Rodney McLeod is a Super Bowl winner. Stephon Gilmore is a Super Bowl winner. Ngakoue, I don't really remember if he went to the playoffs with his other teams, but this past year he went to the playoffs with the Raiders. So I feel like that's good experience. Because you're right, like 2 years ago when we played the Bills in the playoffs, like our rookies who typically had really good performances at the end of the year were kind of like slipping up on all sides of the ball. So I think that's good to have like that veteran presence. I think right now what needs to happen is more wide receiver depth and maybe some more depth on the offensive line because we're kind of depending on some question marks to fill out the spots of left tackle and right guard, I think it is. It's right guard because Quinn Nelson's left guard.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of depending on people who had good performances when they were used last year but never had the actual starting job through a full season, and we're giving them the first look. So it could be a disaster on that end. But I got confidence regardless, because at least they're not coming off of injuries, which, you know, our previous left tackle Eric Fisher was. So.
Yeah. But that Colts defense is definitely scary with the addition of Gilmore, and you got Leonard in there, you got Kenny Moore. But yeah, that defense I feel can easily break the top 5.
Oh yeah.
If they
I
all
think on paper we're top 5 right now, because we have every like position group with like a Pro Bowler or like a renowned player. So I think on paper we are. It just depends on like new defensive coordinator, how he'll improve the defense. And I mean, he came from the Raiders. They had a really good like end of the year as a defense. So I've got confidence.
I do too. Moving forward, we got Dwayne Brown.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
You said he's still gonna retire.
Yeah. I just think he's too old. He's way too old. He's fucking 37 and he's an offensive tackle. Like how?
I mean, it seems like he still wants to play though.
I don't care. I don't care if he wants to play. He's just too old.
Okay.
Ageism.
Jameis Winston went back to the Saints, which, you know, I said he'd go to the Steelers, which in light of recent news,
yeah,
I feel like the Steelers are still without a good quarterback, but, you know, that's not their fault, obviously. You know.
Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. That was
a really brutal thing. Like, let's not even look at it from a football context. Like, that's just like really shitty for like a young guy who was literally coming out of like a practice after being recently, I don't know if he was re-signed or just like given the confidence that he'd take a step up in his career after a rough start. I feel like he was definitely like, his life was trending upwards, you know. His career, I should say. Maybe there's probably other things like family life that were like good, but I think like things were looking up, and then it just.
And it's a brutal way to die too, getting hit by a vehicle like that. I mean, that's tragic in any sense too, outside of football, like you were saying. But yeah, rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, and so when the Steelers have been talking about it, they're not even talking about like how do we replace him. They're like, it's disrespectful to talk like that. So, we'll see what they do draft night about that. Maybe they don't take a quarterback just out of respect for that situation, but I don't know. It might just be one of those years Steelers gotta just like kind of wallow and, you know, not great. Like kind of like when Andrew Luck sporadically retired, like the culture just like, okay, this is just going to be like one of those years, and we're not going to make any like jolt decision about it just because like we were given bad cards, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously two very different situations, but that's how I imagine the Steelers are going to appropriately react to it. They're just going to like, you know, they understand that's just like how life kind of happens sometimes, and so they're just not going to make a rash decision very immediately about it.
I agree. I think they're probably going to focus on receiver, at least, or I don't really know, but
yeah, build up the rest of their offense before they look at quarterback. It's possible. I guess looking at who else do we have? Devondre Campbell. He went to the Packers, re-signed with the Packers, I should say, which was a really, really good from the Packers, who weren't looking like they were going to have a great free agency, but as soon as Aaron Rodgers re-signed, things have been looking better. And they're probably still looking like the conference favorites, or like at least conference championship. Like they'll probably make it there just because no one else in that fucking conference is looking trending up. No one's like trending upwards really.
Yeah.
It's between them and the Bucks probably. DJ Shark. He signed with the Lions.
Yeah, I was hoping I was hoping the Eagles would get him actually, but for what? Wasn't he paid heavily on the Lions?
Yeah, they gave him a lot of money because, I mean, pairing him up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, that would be a crazy duo. Like, obviously Jared Goff is still there, but Jared Goff was like competent. Like don't disrespect Jared Goff. He wasn't the reason the Lions were losing. I should say, like he was very competitive and he was a good like leader. And I think more weapons for him. Well, at least get them through the year. I don't think he's like a long-term answer, obviously, but because like I think it's good that the Lions aren't trying to figure out their quarterback situation so soon. Like they really want to build it before they like and get the right guy in a later draft rather than just like drafting a quarterback because like that's what their fan base wants. I think that's smart.
And the quarterback will age too. I guess you want like 1 or 2 years of experience because it kind of takes a little while for a quarterback to get adjusted to the NFL. But you can do that on the later end, like you just said.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick. He went to the Eagles. Going back to Philly. Neither of us predicted that because I think both of us predicted a different defensive player. You said Bobby Wagner would go to the Eagles, and I said someone else. I forget who. But how do you feel about that?
I think it's a good move. He's a Temple alumni. He's from the area. And it's always good to bring in those kind of guys, and we catered to a need that we needed. Because we're thinking about trading Fletcher Cox. I mean, we just signed him to a 1 year, or we just re-signed him. Yeah, we're planning to re-sign him.
What's happening? Because you cut him, you re-signed him, and now you're trading him. It's like, why? Why is it happening?
Well, I think originally we cut him to save cap space so we could re-sign him to a different deal. But then I think it's always been for the past year we've been thinking about trading him. But I think he's just too old. So we're not going. His trade value is not as what it used to be.
Yeah, you might be lucky to get like a 5th.
Yeah, just with Cox aging and that entire line aging, I think it's good to get Reddick in there. Who's 27, is kind of on the getting older, but still kind of on the younger side. So it's good if he comes in and learns from the older guys as well and have like veterans teach him so he can later be the veteran presence too. For when we do get rookies that are like early 20s, 22, he can mentor them.
You love to see the hometown guys coming back. I mean, Indiana is like notorious for doing that with their teams, like not just the Colts but as the Pacers as well. Like anyone who's played at like an Indiana college or played in or like grew up in Indianapolis, they always like make a huge like reach for them in the free agency periods or like during trades. So which like is always like the fans never complain, obviously, but yeah, you always love to see it. I
mean, Melvin Ingram and Rob Gronkowski is still unanswered, but Melvin Ingram, you had Giants, and I had Vikings, and then Rob Gronkowski, you had Bengals, and I have him retiring. Yep. Teddy went to the Dolphins.
Teddy Bridgewater.
I said Giants, and you said Texans.
Yeah, I was not expecting Dolphins, but it makes sense. Tua is kind of like up and down, I guess, in that the hearts of not only the fan base, but I feel like the ownership as well. So they're going to just like have a backup there who, played good in the time he was able to play good, obviously injury prone. So yeah, 2 injury prone quarterbacks. That's great.
What a duo. Maybe that would cancel out like 2 negatives, make a positive, question mark.
I don't know.
They can't be both injured at the same time. Knock on wood. I don't have any wood, but if there was wood, I would knock on it. But then you got Diggs.
Quandre Diggs.
He went to the Seahawks.
Great move for the Seahawks in a year where it's just sad for the Seahawks. It's been a sad couple of years to have like that roster and then like be kind of mediocre, and now it's just like, okay, they're clearly rebuilding. Going as far as cutting Bobby Wagner, which is wild. I think they could have traded him, but at the same time, everyone knew that they had like cap hit issues that were incoming, so they were just gonna like wait it out. So Seahawks were dealt a bad hand, but at least they got Quandre Diggs back, so they have a really solid defender that can provide like locker room influence for years to come.
I agree. And you said you predicted the Lions, and then I predicted your Packers mom. for him to land on, and obviously
Still don't understand that. But yeah, I think I thought that the Lions would make a big push for like really competitive defensive guys, but they didn't really. Not at least from like the big names. They got a lot of draft capital, so they'll probably address it there. Juju Smith-Schuster, oh my God, he went to the Chiefs. That is so crazy to me. I still can't even comprehend.
Thankfully, he did not go to the Eagles, but yeah, I feel like that's an odd pairing. I don't know. I feel like that's an out of place for him to land on that team.
So now it's like what, Hardman and him,
Yeah,
and Kelsey's still there, but like
they have
that's so
no one.
crazy.
They literally
I mean, Juju's good. He's just not Tyreek good.
Yeah, and he signed like a 1-year, $10 million deal, and they don't even have Pringle anymore, either. I forget
Don't even have Pringle.
They don't even have fucking Pringle anymore. So this is really going to test how good Mahomes is. If it was Tyreek and his good surrounding stuff that's helped him grow, or if it's just pure talent, baby.
I mean, I definitely think it comes down to his scheme and how he's used. And so I think Tyreek Hill went through another good situation with a really good offensive-minded coach. But we'll see if Juju can kind of get a comeback. I feel like he would be in the running for comeback player of the year if he has a good season.
I agree.
Just because, I mean, they drafted fucking that one dude on the Steelers, and then he kind of outshined him. And then the year after, the other wide receiver on the Steelers outshined both of them. And it was just like Juju was just all of a sudden became like the worst of the three.
Yeah.
I mean, that was mainly due to injury, but still, like, no one was like high on Juju.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden. And so, and now he's with the Chiefs, and they're not sure how that's going to go. I feel like, especially now he's coming off an injury, like, that would be a comeback player of the year sort of narrative.
Yeah.
If he does well.
That would make sense.
Christian Kirk, though.
Massive deal. Jaguars know how to spend money.
They
know.
have the checkbook, and they know how to write numbers down, and they know how to show them to an agent, and the agent will always say yes to that big number.
Yes. Why would you ever go lower?
All the teams were mad at the Jaguars after the Christian Kirk signing, because that completely changed how other teams had to address wide receiver signings, because wide receivers see that and like, oh, I'm better than Christian Kirk. I deserve more than that. And so
yeah, that really fucking sucks, because Eagles
and Colts were screwed over by that. I definitely know Colts wanted to see if they could get like a veteran presence. Like, they weren't looking for a big buck guy, but then all of a sudden all the wide receivers are big buck guys because Christian Kirk is.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
And then fucking, I believe that we would have gotten Debo if it wasn't for this fucking Christian Kirk thing, because Howie Roseman said only reason why we aren't going to sign Debo is because how expensive he is going to be in the market. And he's like, there's always going to be one position that's always going to be highly played or highly paid, and it's like the number one position within the league. Like, it was edge rushers for a while, signed to like over $100 million deals, and it was like offensive linemen. It was always quarterbacks, so that's always like congruent, and it's just going up due to inflation. But yeah. Fucking, we could have had Debo. I want to reset the camera.
Okay. Colts are also in the running for Debo. Apparently there's interest.
I didn't do that the last time.
Bummer.
If the Colts get Debo, I'll be so mad. But if the Eagles
it's over for the whole league.
Yeah, sure.
It's over.
Sure.
It's over, dude.
Sure. Matt Ryan can't even throw over 10 yards.
That's not true. That has been proven not to be true so many times. People just love to say that because of his age.
Because he's an old man. He's a grandpa.
He actually threw even more this past year than in other years.
Yeah.
More over 20-yard passes.
I was just about to say, none of them over 10 yards. But if the Eagles get Debo, I'm immediately buying a jersey. Because Debo was my favorite non-Eagle player last year. Favorite player in the league.
That's true.
I guess including the Eagles too, because no one fucking was good on the Eagles, and I fucking didn't like anyone on the Eagles except for Smith.
Yeah, that could have major draft implications. In the same way that everyone thought Aaron Rodgers last year would completely affect the draft. with those rumors. Let's get into the draft then.
Wait, quickly before we get into the draft, I just quickly want to go over some of the big offseason trades
Oh yeah, sure.
because we went over Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
We went over Matt Ryan, but we went over Tyreek Hill. But Devontae Adams, I guess we briefly went over him, but Devontae Adams signed with the Raiders for a mega deal. He's reunited with Derek Carr, in which they played college ball with, and it was the main factor for why Adams wanted to go to the Raiders. And if that connection wasn't there, I believe the Eagles might have gotten Devontae Adams because we had the draft capital to sign him, but unfortunately that did not happen. And if you have any thoughts, I'm just going to speedrun this, but if you have any thoughts, just like chime in to it. But Deshaun Watson was traded to the Cleveland Browns. And the thing that's sucky about it, too, is that if he's not going to get charged criminally, but he's going to get charged. He's in court now for, what's the other that's not criminal?
What do you mean?
Civil.
Oh yeah,
court.
he's going through civil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not going to get charged criminally. But if he does get charged with anything, then he's probably going to get suspended for a year if anything happens, or he may just get suspended in general. The Browns are going to withhold all of his money. He got signed a mega deal. I think it was like 5 years, like $200 million, and
Insane deal.
And with his first year, if he does not play at all, they're only going to give him $1 million. So for the rest of the 4 years, he's going to be able to make the full contract. So it's not wasted.
Yeah, fuck the Browns.
Yeah, fuck the Browns. Amari Cooper got traded to the Browns as well. I forget where he went.
Who went to the Browns?
Browns already.
Because they cut Jarvis.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Wait, did Jarvis go anywhere?
I don't think he's signed anywhere yet.
Why don't the Eagles pick him up? God damn.
No, yeah. As soon as he was cut, everyone was like, "Oh, he's a Colt."
Yeah. But that was surprising that Amari Cooper got traded for as low as he did. I think it was only like a 4th and 5th or a 5th and 6th. And you would think that Cowboys would have a higher bounty on him, but I guess not. Robert Woods was traded too. I forget where he went.
That's right. That was an interesting one.
Do you remember where he went?
I don't remember.
Come on now, Titus. You're supposed to know.
You're the one reading it.
I just
Titans.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just reading a tweet, and he fucking didn't include the teams that they were traded to. You're just like Russell Wilson traded, Devontae Adams traded, Tyreek Hill traded.
Whatever.
Shut the fuck up, you fucking bitch. That was a little mean. I'm sorry. I apologize. But yeah, Robert Woods got traded, but he was replaced by Allen Robinson, so you could make it the argument that they just upgraded in that position with Allen Robinson.
Well, not really, because they don't have Odell back.
Well, I guess, yeah, that on that side too.
So it's Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, and what was the third guy's name? He's good. Fuck, Rams receivers. Van Jefferson. Yeah, it's those three guys as opposed to Kupp, Woods, Odell, because Van Jefferson basically took the backseat once Odell came in, and then Woods got injured, so Van Jefferson was back. But regardless,
Yeah.
I think it's around the same.
Yeah. I forgot that they didn't have Odell Beckham Jr. anymore, but if they still did have OBJ, then I feel like that would have been an upgrade from Robert Woods to Allen Robinson. And then Carson Wentz was traded to the Commanders for, was it like a 3rd and a conditional 2nd round for that? I forget what the exact draft capital was for that.
I don't think it was a 2nd. No way.
I just know that it was another conditional pick. Maybe it was a 4th and a conditional 3rd. I just know that we're going to have another year of fucking paying attention to Carson Wentz stops, because I think that's going to play an account to it.
Okay, so yeah, the Colts receive a 3rd round pick. Oh yeah, you're right. A 3rd round pick that escalates to a 2nd rounder if Carson Wentz plays 70% of snaps. So we're back to snap counts again.
Yeah.
And then we basically traded our 2022 second round picks, but which puts Colts like a little bit further ahead in the draft order. I think by like 7, maybe 5 spots. So that's what the terms were.
It's just, I think we've gotten to the point of kind of getting tired of Carson Wentz, or the league is kind of slowly getting tired of Carson Wentz, and his lead is getting smaller and smaller of how much we're going to give him. He already went over Matt Ryan, and then Devontae Parker was traded. Do you know where he was traded? I can quickly look it up if you don't.
Who?
Devontae Parker, he was the receiver on the Dolphins.
Right.
I think it may have been the Patriots, but I forget.
I think it might have been, yeah. Because they did need a wide receiver, I guess.
Yeah.
They have like these, they have like good wide receivers, but like, they just need someone elite. I don't know. They have a bunch of like above average ones, but no one was like elite.
Yeah.
Not to say Devontae Parker is really, I mean, he's more of a name, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it's an upgrade, but just slightly.
Yeah, it's not like too eye-shocking, but it's...
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a blockbuster.
Yeah, not in the slightest. I feel like, too, this is the last thing I'll say about free agencies, but I think we said this last time, but a lot of tight ends are getting paid, too. I think we did say this on the last podcast, but, like, the Browns tight end got paid a lot, and there was a couple other tight ends that got paid this free agency, which is maybe in up and rising positions to be paid in, like the wide receiver, your wide receiver is now.
Yeah, I feel like tight end consistency has been very low recently. Like, there's only like 5 good tight ends in the whole league. I shouldn't say 5 good ones, but like 5 ones that like really, really impact the game.
Yeah.
Like at a level that like really, you know, like kind of puts the team over the top. I don't really know exactly how to explain it, but like 5 tight ends that aren't replaceable. There are only 5 tight ends that aren't replaceable, where I feel like all the other like offensive positions, like it is kind of like that. It isn't kind of like that. Running backs, you could say they're replaceable after a certain time, like after like maybe 5 years, because of like that's a very like young man's game.
Yeah.
But tight ends is like, if you have a good tight end, if you have a top 5 tight end, you're gonna have him for a while, and so you want to make sure you lock that down. And so teams are also not wanting to underestimate if certain tight ends they have could become the next big tight end, just to try to evaluate like their how they're trending. And so like if they don't like get his value right now and where he's trending, then like they're going to lose him and completely regret it. So they're trying to lock down tight ends that may not be like shocking the league right now, but like they think, or they're like kind of like placing a bet on like they will.
Yeah, I like that response. But I like how the league is forming in that way, because I feel like it's like the league is ever changing, and it's just cool to see where it will change next, and what positions will be valued and what positions will not be valued.
I feel like a lot of tight end contracts are mainly just like teams placing bets
Yeah.
on like, you know, making an investment on them rather than like rewarding them for like already being elite, because like once a tight end realizes his like elite skill, it might be too late for that team to really give him the big money. Otherwise, teams are going to be fighting for him in other places and try to give him the bag, because I feel like most teams want a really good tight end, and not a lot of teams have one. So.
Yeah, but I guess we can move on to the draft, because that is what this whole podcast is about. But we just spent the first 41 minutes of this podcast talking about free agency. I guess we should have split that up a little bit.
I mean, I was ready to jump into it. You wanted to talk about trades.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I mean, I wanted to go over all the free agency because I don't know. I want to try to divvy it up as much as possible throughout the year, and not have one big long podcast with just talking about.
Split this into 2 podcasts.
Nah, too late though.
Okay. Well,
So we got the first team, back-to-back first overall.
We should probably explain what we're doing here.
So we're predicting who goes where. So the first
Who goes where? We're only predicting the first round. Each team. We're not predicting any trades that would happen in the first round, although like it will likely happen at least once. But basically, we're giving ourselves points for if like a specific team takes a certain player or a certain positional need in the first round and like where. So yeah, we have different we have a whole point system for that. But also -5 points if a division rival takes a player that we predicted would go to a different interdivisional team. So for example, if the Jaguars take Aiden Hutchinson, then Caleb would lose 5 points because he has him going third to the Texans.
Yes.
I won't explain it any more than that. We can jump into it now. Now
Wait.
that they know that context.
I was focusing on what I had for each person, but did you go over the points? Did you just go over the points?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I heard the -5 thing, but I didn't know if you went over the 1 point. I didn't.
I didn't like specify, but like, you know.
Yeah.
There's a point system about if the teams that we think will address a specific positional need or an exact player, you know.
Yeah. I guess there'll be a screenshot at the end of the podcast if you want to go check that out for more. It'll be at the very end. But yeah, let's start with the Jaguars. They have back-to-back first overall picks. The last team that I remember having back-to-back first overall picks is the Cleveland Browns a couple of years ago when they only won once in 32 games. So that's the only time I remember, but I don't really remember a team having back-to-back first overall picks. But I have them choosing Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, because they're
That's very
dumb.
surprising to me.
Because they're dumb.
They pay big money for a wide receiver free agency and then get a wide receiver first pick.
Yes.
I mean, this guy, Garrett Wilson, will probably, I think I have him as the first wide receiver to go. I'm not exactly sure. But, I mean, definitely a top 10 guy. And, like, none of these players are guaranteed at any spot to get drafted just because, like, it's such a freaking mix-up and there's so many different positional needs for each team that they want to address. And there's like so many factors that go into it. So like none of these are locks by any means. With that said, I think Jaguars will lean on the offensive side because of the whole like debacle last year, and just getting this new quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, who everyone thinks is like the next big thing, like the next Tom Brady, Peyton Manning sort of guy. Now, I shouldn't even say Tom Brady because like Tom Brady wasn't like that well. He wasn't a big prospect before the NFL. Let's say Peyton Manning then, because Trevor Lawrence was such a big prospect, like even coming out of high school in the same way that Peyton Manning was, and so everyone says like that is the next like big prospect that will do big things in the league, and they completely fumbled the bag with the whole coaching scenario. Like offense was a wreck until they faced the Colts that last game. They finally started pulling it together, and so I think they really want to make a better impression that, you know, Trevor Lawrence shouldn't leave after 4 or 5 years, and that they actually have his best interests. So I have Evan Neal.
Oh wow.
Tackle out of Alabama. Definitely, I think he'll go top 5. I think that's a lock. I don't think he'll slip out top 5. That's my personal idea, because I don't think any of these 5 teams in the top 5 wouldn't want Evan Neal.
Yeah.
And so if they all pass up on him, I'd find that very surprising. The only one that I might give an excuse for is Jets, because they also recently got a tackle in the first round in the past couple of drafts. But otherwise, I think like this is like a guy you definitely gotta get. So
Imagine if he slips all the way to number 16 or number 15 or 18.
Oh yeah.
To the Eagles.
Yeah. That'd be crazy. I mean, a lot of people say he's the best player in the draft straight up, which is why I have him going to Jaguars. But at the same time, I could see them going like edge rusher if they don't want to focus on offensive needs immediately. They have another pick later in the first round anyways. Right? Do they not?
I don't think they do.
Was I lying? I was lying, guys.
Yeah, you fucking liar. What the fuck?
Regardless, I'm sure they have enough trade capital to trade up into later in the first round. Next one, though. Second pick going to the Lions.
I have Hamid Gardner.
Sauce.
Ahmad.
That's his nickname.
Sauce.
Sauce Gardner.
Cornerback going to the Lions because I feel like they might not necessarily focus on offensive needs quite yet because they kind of have Jared Goff. No, they don't have Devontae Parker's. Fuck, what was the guy that just signed? We literally just said it like 2 seconds ago.
Wait, what? For the
Lions, yeah, the receiver. You said with the matchup with Brown and.
What's his name? Why am I forgetting?
Bro, we just said this like 2 seconds ago.
Oh god, this is bad.
This is so bad. Oh, DJ Clark.
Shark. Of course.
All right, so I mean I'm not saying that's like fixes by all means, but it's not. I feel like they need to focus on defensive matters before they focus on offensive matters because I feel like they have a few loose pieces on the offense where they can possibly make something happen at least, but on the defensive side it's just
no. Lions have like a underrated offense.
Yeah,
because like you also have DeAndre Swift, who I think is like, if like you did a whole entire NFL league redraft, he would be a top 4, maybe top 3 running back taken.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's so young and he's shown a lot of promise. A little bit of injury prone, I guess you could argue, but still, I think he's like in the same ranks of like Najee Harris, like one of the young guys that can do it all, like a dual threat in like receiving and rushing. So I think the Lions, you're right. I think the Lions are okay with passing up on taking an offensive player here.
Yeah, and
I think Gardner would make a really great fit as well, just in the culture. But I think like my pick just feels too good to be true. I chose Aiden Hutchinson because he's from Michigan, edge rusher. I mean, it's a need, and also he's from Michigan, and honestly, that's it. That's the only reason why. And he's like a top 5.
That's a good pick. We both said defense. So we'll get at least the defensive side right, possibly. That doesn't mean anything within the point value system, but at least maybe we'll have half correct for at least being on the defensive side. But let's move to the Texans. Their number 3rd pick. I said Aiden Hutchinson for edge. They honestly, like, there's not really one good area on the Texans where I'm like...
No, yeah. Texans need everything fixed.
Literally, they could choose anyone in this draft and it'll be an upgrade.
So,
they just need something.
It would really just come down to who they think is the best player, straight up.
Yeah.
That they can get. And, like I said, there's not a lock for the first 2 picks, so, like, they're going to get a good player. They're going to get maybe even an elite player, as long as they evaluate well. And I don't know, maybe the new guys coming into the Texas organization will do that for them. And I got Travon Walker, mainly because the Texans do need so much fixed on that team, and Travon Walker is like one of the types of defensive linemen that you can like place him anywhere on the line and he'll probably have a lot of success. So I think that sort of versatility is what they need when so much is like so bad on that team.
Yeah.
To have a guy who can like do it all on the defensive line will definitely be cool.
I agree. They just are a struggling team that could use any help anywhere. For the Jets, I feel like they need some defensive help as well. They have a pretty good start to the offense, so they don't necessarily need to use a first round on any offensive players. So I pick Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback, because I feel like that's one of the needs that they really need. I could also see them taking an edge as well, because the edge rusher or somewhere on the defensive line, because they are shit at running the ball. So I feel like they can't go wrong with the cornerback position and or edge position, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pick a position on either side for those.
Yeah, the edge class is really deep in this draft, which makes me kind of like jealous that the Colts didn't draft their back-to-back edge rushers this year than last year. But regardless, I say they will go edge with Kayvon Thibodeau, who I think like before like this offseason, everyone was hyping him up to be like a top 2 pick, like him and Hutchinson basically.
Mm-hmm.
But recently he's really fallen off to the point where people aren't even sure if he's going to remain in the top 10, and people are even speculating like, will teams like trade up if he slips out of the top 10? Who knows? I think he won't be like the first edge rusher taken. I definitely think Hutchinson will get there, but I think some will give him the benefit of the doubt just because he was such a big prospect, like an even bigger prospect before any of these other guys, and they won't like depend on the recency bias. I think if any team will kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, it will be the Jets, because a very defensive-minded coach that can like look past recent failures maybe in Thibodeau's like game, or his maybe it was something that happened at the combine. I'm not exactly sure why teams are like looking lower on him recently, but I think as far as raw talent goes, he's got it, and that's why he was so hyped up in the first place. And I think Jets really want someone who can be like a showstopper.
I agree. Let's move on to the Giants.
Yeah, Giants are 5th. You say Evan Neal, offensive line.
All right. Yeah, I said Evan Neal because I feel like all right. Can you actually say your pick? Because my computer is about to die in 2 seconds if I don't run it.
Well, I also have an offensive lineman, a tackle, in fact, Ike Ekwonu. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. This guy is someone who's gotten more hype as the, I guess, process has gone on. I guess you could say that. People might even say that he could go before Evan Neal, which I think is a stretch. But I've seen it in some mock drafts, and so after looking at that, I think I had him outside of the top 10, but now after looking at that, I'm like, okay, he could go 5th to the Giants. I think Giants really want to improve in this area, and Daniel Jones would definitely appreciate it, since they're still going with Daniel Jones for whatever reason.
You know, I was literally just about to sit down and be like, they're still going with Daniel Jones for whatever reasons. I was literally going to say that word for word. But yeah, that's why I had Evan Neal, is because I feel like the Giants are always in need of I'm out of breath. I just ran up and down the stairs. But I feel like the past 5 years, the most struggling position for the Giants is offensive lineman, and I feel like they're always constantly looking for that position. So that's why I chose an offensive lineman for the Giants pick at number 5. What are you doing?
I'm just like matching him up where we had similar picks.
Oh, that's like an Einstein move.
Einstein move. Oh my god.
Einstein move.
Yeah, so this is going to be the one where we had the same player with the Panthers at number 6.
Ooh. Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, that's right. We both said Kenny Pickett here. Definitely the quarterback that most people have been saying will go first out of all the quarterbacks. And I mean, I think it is possible that he slips further than 6, and Panthers might even want to trade back if that's the case, if they really feel like none of the other teams really have that much interest in him. Because there's not really like a high not really a lot of investment into the quarterback class this year, as far as like, at least in the first round. So Panthers could take him later and trade back, or they could just completely take someone else here and then just like hope they get a different quarterback in the second round, maybe, because there will be a lot of quarterbacks left by the time of the second round. But if they really feel like this is their guy, then I think they stay here and just take him.
I agree. The Panthers quarterback situation has been shitty ever since 2015 Cam Newton. I feel like it's just been a slow decline or a fast decline in some areas ever since then. So that's why I chose Kenny Pickett as well, and for the reasons why you chose Kenny Pickett as a quarterback for their first pick. I'm going to reset the camera real quick.
All right. We're doing great on time. You want to know something crazy?
What's that?
Back-to-back same picks. Kyle Hamilton, we say will go to the Giants and their second first-round pick, and it's at the 7th pick, so they have like a lot of capital. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back from here, and I think a lot of people have been speculating that Kyle Hamilton will also slip out of the top 10. So, I mean, I feel like I've been saying that for every player, but Kyle Hamilton, a lot of people are starting to look not so favorably on just based off of conversations with him. So maybe there's like an attitude issue. Not exactly sure what's going on there, but Giants could definitely trade back if they wanted to. They can afford it, is what I mean. And maybe they don't go with Kyle Hamilton here, but they could go with him later or go with a different safety. But I think if we both agree that they're taking offensive linemen with their first round pick, then might as well pair it up with a defensive player and with their second.
I agree, and I feel like they're always getting toast by any receiver that matches up against their backfield or their in that positional area with like the quarterbacks and safety and stuff.
Used to be considered one of their strong suits, but recently it's just been kind of collapsing, and that I think that's a lot of the reason because of the safety. I think cornerbacks are decent, but the safety position, man, like that will give a big yards.
I agree. And then we got Falcons at number 8. We got Kavion. I predicted Kavion. You know,
What's wrong, dude?
It's a pretty big last name.
Well,
and
you say Kavion. There's no E or I. It's just Kayvon.
Kayvon. Thobadux.
No, it's Doe. Thibodeau.
Thibodeau?
Yeah,
What?
Deaux. That's O.
Thibodeau. UX. This name doesn't make any sense.
Anytime you see EAUX, that's O.
Why?
That's just how it goes, man.
All right. I chose that edge rusher. I chose him as a edge rusher. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation of your entire name.
You can't even pronounce mispronunciation.
I know where you live. I'm gonna fucking.
We went completely different routes here for, I think, the first time, like completely different sides of the ball for the Falcons, which I think Falcons need. Anyways, Falcons lost Julio Jones recently. Within the past couple of years, I should say, and they don't have that third string wide receiver. It's not Calvin Ridley. You know who I'm talking about, right? I think he went to the Bucks.
I think.
Yeah, you vaguely know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck names. And then Calvin Ridley is suspended. So basically, they have like no wide receivers that are extremely notable. I feel like. I mean, unless you count the wide receiver running back mixture of the other guy.
I don't even know his name.
We need to learn names, dude. This is bad. Like, I know these names, they just slip in.
It's not Tevin Coleman, right? He went to the job.
Oh, no. Not that guy. I'm
Todd
talking
Gurley?
about Cordarrelle Patterson, dude.
Oh yeah, I had him in my fucking fantasy. Yo, I kind of went off with the duality with running back and receiver, but I fucking didn't win.
Yeah, you said. But so Cordarrelle Patterson could still like impact the receiving game, and obviously they have their last year's first round pick in Kyle Pitts. So, you know, receiving game won't completely fall off with their new quarterback as well.
Yeah.
But I think that it can definitely improve for the future. Definitely, I don't think they take a quarterback here. I'd be very surprised if they take a quarterback here. I'd rather see them wait it out or trade back. But definitely not with the 8th pick when Panthers are pretty keen on taking Kenny Pickett. At least I feel like. So I got Garrett Wilson, wide receiver. Like I said, one of the first wide receivers I say would get taken. And same with Caleb. He said he went first, but I say 8th. So.
And I chose edge for the Falcons because I feel like that's a struggling position for them on defense because I feel like teams had ease running up and down the field on them.
Yeah. Well, I have the Seahawks at 9th taking Derek Stingley, who you said would go 4th. Because hell yeah. I don't really even have a reason here. I just think he was probably one of the better players left.
Yeah. I chose Charles Cross because I feel like it's going to further slap Russell Wilson in the face or kick him down while he's down. I guess he's not really down, but like after trading him, like their biggest need was offensive lineman. And while Russell Wilson was on the team, and to trade him and to draft an offensive lineman after he gets traded away, even though that was their biggest needs, I feel like it's a slap in the face.
Yeah, I guess it would be. It's like, oh yeah, now you address it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even last year, he was trying to like talk to the organization, like we need an offensive lineman.
He's like the most sacked quarterback since like he entered the league.
It's so sad, but yeah, I could see that. I could see them going offensive lineman here, but at the same time, I feel like the really good offensive lineman will be gone by this point, and Charles Cross, I don't think, really compares to Evan or Icky. So I say they just go with the best player left, Derek Stingley.
Yes, that also makes sense as well. But with the 10th overall pick, we have the Jets.
Once again, they're back.
I have Johnson the second, Jermaine Johnson the second, edge rusher, and I feel like their biggest need is on the defensive end, so they're going to continue, or that's their biggest needs. So I feel like they're going to address it the most. And I feel like, again, they're going to get away with the limited offense that they have, and I feel like it's going to focus more on the defensive side, in which is their biggest struggle. And any area on that defense will help tremendously.
I got Ahmad Gardner just because I really want him to go to the Jets. I really think that is like a match made in heaven of him being with the Robert Saleh. I think they will do magical things on that team. But I think if they end up with like an edge rusher, like you said, or even Derek Stingley falls to them, I think they'll make the most with that regardless. But still, I think Ahmad Gardner would be the best case scenario for the Jets there. But he could definitely go earlier, like you had him going second. I think that's definitely possible. I think he could go earlier. Number 11, though.
Number 11, Commanders. I chose Trey McBride tight end solely because I told you this while I was picking him. The Commanders are going to do some dumbass shit, and this is going to be their dumbass shit. Like, why would they ever fucking pick a tight end? Who would ever fucking pick a tight end when they have
Wentz, who's notoriously great with tight ends?
I guess that's true, but I feel like they have more bigger needs than focusing on a tight end now. But I feel like it's a shit organization, and they don't know how to run a football team, so they're going to pick a tight end.
Damn. Okay. I have Drake London, wide receiver, who is kind of, not tight end definitely, but yeah, I think they'll just want to like stack up their offense. That's kind of like the justification I have here.
Yeah.
No other real reason. I think, Drake London, other than Garrett Wilson, is like the most like consensus like best bet for like teams right now. Like that's their second best. That's where they have him, at least off of consensus. I'm sure like other people would say Chris Olave or some of those other wide receivers, but Jameson Williams, of course. But I think Drake London has definitely been in like that top 3 area, so Commanders will have the safe bet in taking him.
Yes, and he's gonna match up well with Terry. But with the 12th pick, we got the Vikings. I chose Daxton Hill, safety, because I feel like Vikings always have been really known for their backfield, and they've been always known for their defense. And I think their main focus for the past 5-6 years is the cornerback safety position, and I feel like they're lacking in that position, so they're going to pick up Daxton Hill to help in that lack of positional need.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. I just made that up on my own. That was joking.
I have Trent McDuffie, cornerback.
So you agree with my conclusion?
I mean, yeah.
So you agree with me?
I think McDuffie is one of the guys that's kind of like risen in the past couple of weeks in the minds of everyone. Like, will probably go earlier and earlier. Definitely wasn't projected to go this early, let's say like a month ago. But yeah, I got him going 12 to the Vikings just because definitely like a position group that they've been struggling with for a while, I feel like.
Yeah. And especially after Patrick Peterson left as well.
Yes.
They're stronger in that position. 13th overall pick is the Texans via Cleveland. They got that pick via Cleveland, but I picked Chris Olave. Love.
Olave or Love, I'm not sure though.
Receiver, and again, same conclusion as I said before. They really could use any help in any position, and I feel like they're going to focus on the offensive side, I believe. Yeah, I had Aiden going third for them, and them picking up an edge rusher, which is an edge rusher, so I feel like they're going to focus on offense. But yeah, that's my reasoning for that.
That's sick.
Shut the fuck up.
I had Charles Cross, tackle. Yeah, same justification as you. I had a defensive guy going to them at third, so offense for 13th. Charles Cross, I feel like, is the best overall offensive player left. If they wanted to really try and develop like some weaponry, then sure, Chris. But I don't think they're really concerned with like getting those weapons down. And I feel like you're gonna have better luck with like getting a wide receiver in the second round that is just as good or like close enough as good, rather than like the tackle class. I don't think is that deep, and like they're gonna struggle to find someone of Charles Cross's like skill set and his level later in the draft. So might as well take it here.
Yeah, I agree. I think you are smartly approaching this draft.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Ravens 14th. You say Devontae Wyatt?
Yes.
Are you stupid? Just kidding.
No, I'm Caleb. Nice to meet you. But I picked Devontae because they need help on the defense. Because they need help on the defense, and I could also see them possibly pick up a wide receiver as well, because they drastically need help in that wide receiver position, i.e. a year ago in free agency where they were basically begging for any receiver to be traded over their way, but no one wanted to be traded to the Ravens. And that issue still hasn't been solved a year later. So I feel like they could also go with a wide receiver, but I feel like they've always been known as a defensive team. So I feel like they're going to start building up that defensive line, because I can't tell you who's on that defensive line. And yeah, I feel like that's one of their main struggles.
Yeah, I have Jermaine Johnson, so same sort of thought process.
So you copied me.
No.
So you copied
I
me.
put this first.
Then you switched it and you copied me.
No.
Yes.
You can check the edit history. But Jermaine Johnson II is an edge rusher, and I think he's the third best edge rusher in this draft.
Nice.
Anyways, the Eagles are drafting at 15, and we both have two entirely different picks. So you said Jameson Williams of wide receiver.
Yes, and you know why? The Eagles are dumbasses.
Okay.
Howie Roseman is only good at picking top 10 picks in the draft. He's not good at drafting any other position at any other pick in the draft. Like 11 and below, he's terrible. So for the third straight year, we're going to get a third round wide receiver. And I feel like it's going to add with Devontae Smith. I was bamboozled. I thought we were going to get a veteran wide receiver to help out that receiver core, but Harry Roseman was like, nope. So I feel like we need to fill that need somehow. Even though we need to address the defensive side, like the cornerback position, the safety position, maybe a lineman, but we're just not going to do that. We're going to focus on the receiver first. That's why I have Williams.
Well, I have Jordan Davis, so.
You're wrong.
What?
You're wrong.
Anyways. 16. No, defensive lineman Jordan Davis, I think I think Eagles can do a lot with this guy. I feel like a lot of people are kind of scared to pick him early, even though, like, I mean, his athleticism at his size is unmatched. But people are just, I think teams are just scared of, like, how do you use this guy?
Yeah.
Because I don't think Georgia necessarily used him amazingly. I mean, he had great moments, but I think teams are very perplexed by this player because he can easily be one of the best players in the league at some point, I think, just based off of pure physicality. But people are just so confused, like, how do you use this guy? So I think Eagles are going to take up the challenge because they're crazy like that.
It is wild, man.
It is wild. Saints.
I picked up Tyler Linderbaum.
You,
Tyler Linderbaum.
you,
Is that not how you pronounce it?
no, I'm joking.
Yeah.
It's like,
Offensive lineman, and I feel like I don't really know exactly what the needs of the Saints are because I feel like they have a pretty strong defense, and I feel like I could also see them picking up a receiver like you have, but I could also see them focusing on the offensive line to help out Jameis Winston a little bit. Their main focus is the offense. They already have a really good running back. They have a decent defense, so I think they could also go for the quarterback position as well, even though they just signed Jameis Winston, but that's only a 2-year, $18 million contract. So that's nothing. So it wouldn't hurt to draft a quarterback, but maybe they wait until next year when it was actually a good quarterback draft. But yeah, that's kind of why I picked Tyler Linderbaum.
yeah, I would like to see Jameis Winston get another shot because I think he was fine to start, and they got so much they got a lot of good going on for them, and like I think offensive lineman makes sense considering they just lost one of the best offensive linemen in the game. But I could also see them going wide receiver just to like match with Michael Thomas, who hasn't exactly impressed, but that may just be due to injury. Yeah, I feel like to take some of that stress away from the Michael Thomas double teaming, allow him to get back to his dominant phase. Yeah, I like Chris there. Chargers, though, what are they gonna do here, man? I feel like they've been very active in free agency.
I want to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to pick up a linebacker in Nakobe Bean. They're going to pick up a linebacker because they have a pretty strong offense with Herbert,
I believe it's
Allen.
Dean.
Dean? Is it Dean?
I'm pretty sure.
I will report back on this because I thought it was Bean. And if it was Bean, then I am embarrassed, and it's probably Bean. But yeah, that's why I have linebacker because I feel like they need help in that position more than anything, and that's just my simple answer.
Yeah,
I just don't know the Chargers too well.
Yeah, I have them taking a tackle just because I feel like they could go a bunch of different routes, and he's one of the better tackles left at this point. So, I mean, it kind of same situation with the Texans. Like, they can go a lot of different routes, but you're not going to see a tackle of this, like, caliber later in the draft. So
It is, dude. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's what I thought. Here's a funny thing, though. 18th pick for the Eagles. I also have Jameson Williams just later in the draft. Woo!
And I have George
Come on, spell it out.
I tried spelling out the other one, and apparently EAUX is
Well, I mean,
completely.
this isn't as complex of like vowel
I
combinations.
didn't think it was that complex before, but
Okay,
apparently
this isn't that complex. You can literally spell this one out.
CARLA. You said spell it out.
It's not a C.
Okay. Yeah, it's just another variation of a C. It's like you could just flop. It's like Caleb. You can flop the K and the C around. What's the difference? What's
You spell it out and you missed the first letter.
I don't have anything, but
Karlaftis.
Karlaftis. See, that's what I said before, Karlaftis.
Yeah, you said.
No, I said Karlaftis.
Okay.
Rewind.
Jameson Williams, or George Karlaftis? We will find out draft night. Two very different players.
Yes, I think the Eagles will address a offensive need and a defensive need within the first round. If they don't trade up, because I can also see them trading for an odd pick or moving up in the draft for some
I
reason
can see them trading back from here.
for more draft capital in the future, maybe.
Yeah, because, I mean, if I say they're getting a wide receiver, like, they're going to get just a good enough wide receiver later in the draft. I only say wide receiver here because I feel like Jameson Williams is, like, that good that they're just going to remain there and take him. But
Yeah, I agree. Moving forward with the Saints again from the Eagles, I chose Andrew Booth Jr. I know I was complimenting their defense, but I think a young quarterback to learn from Lattimore wouldn't hurt, and learn from kind of the veterans on the team to help that thriving defense grow that much more and continue for more years on end rather than holding off on their veterans and continue that circle for the future. So that's why I chose Andrew Booth Jr. for the Saints.
I choose Malik Willis, quarterback. I tricked you all. I don't think they give Jameis Winston a chance. I think they'll give him the first look, but I think Malik Willis and Jameis Winston would be an interesting combo. I think Malik Willis actually would have a lot to learn from Jameis Winston as opposed to maybe some of the other quarterbacks. So I think that's a good pairing to give James and Winston the first look. Jameis Winston the first look, and then eventually hand over the reins to Malik Willis. And also, if they take Chris Olave and earlier, then Malik Willis is in a good situation with Kamara and all that. I think this is just as good as the situation in Malik Willis I feel like we'll get. And yeah, I think the only reason Saints would make that weird trade with the Eagles is if they're going to do something as crazy as get a quarterback here. So
I agree.
so you literally didn't choose that. So
I agree.
Steelers at 20th. Who do you think is going to the Steelers?
Not gonna lie, I originally had Malik Willis, and then what after you said about Haskins made me feel bad, and so I changed my pick to Kyler Gordon.
No, I mean, a lot of people think the Steelers might trade up or hope that Kenny Pickett falls, since he's from Pittsburgh after all. So I mean, it's still possible they could go quarterback route. I'm just saying, I don't know if it's necessarily in the cards.
Yeah, but it made me sad, so I just I switched to Kyler Gordon because that is a position that they need to pair up with Harden as well. That duality would work and he can learn from the veteran presence on that defense as well. That defense will be scary with him.
I think their biggest savior on this team right now, the person they need to do the best in order for the Steelers to even have a chance in this conference,
It's me.
is Najee Harris. And so they're going to pair him up with Tyler Linderbaum, who can basically be placed anywhere on the offensive line. He's mainly known as an interior offensive lineman. I think you could put him at center. I think you could put him at guard. Either way, he's going to help that run so much better than... I mean, that fucking run game was trash. They had to throw him out at wideout because they just gave up on that offensive lineman. It was bad. So why'd you do that, though? Command Z, that... What? I don't even understand.
For a comedic set effect.
Anyways. Tyler Linderbaum, baby.
Yeah, I could also see that as well.
No.
21. Patriots will pick up Burks, wide receiver. I know they picked up Devontae Parker's, but I feel like they need some young talent on that offense to match up with Mac Jones.
I feel like I have enough young talent.
They need more young talent.
I'm sorry.
But I don't know. I feel like they're struggling in the wide receiver position, and they're not really known for a receiver-heavy team. They're always known for picking up small white dudes for the receiver position. So, yeah, I just think they're going to change some things up and get Burks.
I say they go a different route and focus on defense.
Shut the fuck up. I don't agree with that.
Devin Lloyd, linebacker. I think he's one of the better linebackers in this draft, and I mean, you have him going next anyway. So
No, I don't.
okay.
So Packers, I have Devian Lloyd, linebacker, because they need help on that defense. They also need help everywhere else because, honestly, they probably need receiver help the most. I don't know why I didn't go with receiver because name one good receiver since Devontae Adams.
Fucking Rodgers would be so mad if you don't go offense here.
They're
He
not.
just re-signed.
They picked Jordan Love in the first round last year when they had Aaron
Not last
Rodgers
year, but okay.
2 years ago. Whatever
I
year.
get what you mean.
Whatever year
I get
Jordan.
your point. I get your point.
Fucking. Who did you pick? Tell us. Timer's running loud. I don't want to reset the camera
Okay.
again. You fucking bitch. I'm
I
sorry. That was a
think-
little too aggressive.
At this pick, assuming they don't trade up, the best pick, like this is who, if I'm a Packers fan, this is who I want them to pick, is what I'm trying to say here.
Mhm.
Okay. Do I think they actually will? Not sure. I'm 50-50 on it. But if they really want the best, like, player that will immediately stand out, it's George Pickens out of Georgia, wide receiver. I'm not saying he's going to replace Devontae Adams. No way, Jose. But he's going to be a better step up than probably any other wide receiver at this point in the draft. A lot of people have been looking very favorably on him. He was, like, projected second originally, but now a lot of people are, like, really seeing his value, and he's just been rising in the stock. So I think Packers will make an absolute steal here and basically use the trade they used for Devontae Adams. This is the pick via Las Vegas, so they're basically replacing Devontae Adams with this pick. I think that is the best for their future, but also immediate success.
I agree with that too. But one, I like how you did the George and Georgia thing. They kind of like flowed together. That was kind of cool. And two, I don't know why I didn't pick a receiver, but I think one of the main reasons why I didn't pick a receiver for this one is because they're not that bright. And and all they do is fucking re-sign Rodgers and then slap him in the face year in and year out with Jordan Love fucking trading Devontae Adams to another team. It's just a disaster on that coordination side. What are you doing?
You didn't put all the positions, so
Oh.
I'm fixing it.
Wow, you know every position? How the fuck do you know?
I know every position, dude.
How do you know these guys? Or are you just Googling them?
I just know their positions, bro. I don't have Google. What? Cardinals. We both had the same idea, but different players.
I have Ikma. Ekama Ekubnu.
Wait, dude. This is bad. I don't even know if it's like right for you to even be trying.
I'm
anymore,
sorry,
it's
look.
really bad.
If I don't know anything, I'm just going to tell you to say it for me so I don't embarrass myself in the podcast on our name. So can you say the name so I don't continue embarrassing myself?
So, Ikem is actually short for Ikemefuna, and then his last name is Ekwanu.
Ekwani. See, that's what I said before.
Did you say Ekwanu?
No.
Oh.
But yeah, I have offensive linemen for the Cardinals to help out Kyler Murray. Kyler, I can't even fucking pronounce easy fucking names. Yeah, he really needs help, and like the Russell Wilson situation, he's just running for his life. Yeah, that's why I chose him
I'm fine for my fucking
to protect Kyler.
Yeah, I have Zion Johnson, who I think is the better offensive lineman left, and he's an interior lineman that can kind of be placed anywhere, and he's like really big physical guy. So yeah, I like him a lot. I think Kyler Murray will too, but at the same time, they have a lot other draft needs, so I wouldn't be surprised if they stray away from offensive linemen here. But
Yeah.
If by the off chance a lot of the better offensive linemen actually get taken earlier. So, Cowboys.
I have Drake London for wide receiver. After departing from Cooper, and they're just a offensive heavy team, I believe that they're going to focus on wide receiver, even though their biggest needs is in that backfield for the cornerback and defensive needs more than anything. I feel like they're going to focus on offensive side for whatever reason and get Drake London to kind of get a cheap receiver to kind of balance it out for the loss of Cooper. So that's why I have them picking up Drake London.
Well, I got Kenyon Green, offensive lineman, just because I've read articles that they really want to build their offensive line for whatever reason.
That tripped me out so much because you like unhighlighted.
Yeah, I made a mistake because I prematurely unhighlighted that one, and then when it switched over to me, I was like, oh shit, I got to unhighlight. So.
Yeah.
Regardless, we both had running backs for the 25th pick, Bills.
I need to reset the camera.
Oh my god. This is bad.
I'm literally going to be up all night tonight editing this shit.
I'm gonna be up all night editing my short film.
Oh, we can edit together and like hold hands or something.
I need both hands to edit.
No, you don't. But yeah, that's why I chose what I did for the Cowboys.
I'm surprised Kenneth Walker though.
Honestly, TBH, I was just scrolling through the top prospects, and this was the first running back name that popped out to me. And yeah, with what's their running back now with the Bills? Singletary. I don't even know if that's his name, but the running backs that they do have now is not good at all. And I feel like they're pretty strong everywhere else. They're a pretty complete team. This is like the situation with the Chiefs. The past couple years where it's, with the Chiefs, it's been offensive lineman or running back. They just need one more kind of position, or they don't need many positions to focus on. So a running back in this position would be good.
Yeah, I got Breece Hall.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Who's a running back who's projected to go like early second, but I think Bills are just gonna be like, fuck it, we'll take him here. We don't want to miss out on getting the best running back in the draft, supposedly.
Yeah. And then we got the Titans for the 26th pick. I picked Sky Moore, wide receiver.
That dude is pretty good, I will say. I kind of wanted the Colts to take Sky Moore. Not gonna lie.
Well, your arch nemesis, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
No,
is going
to
pick it up. Yeah.
And I think this is like, I think they do need wide receiver, but they also need an edge, and so I have George Karlaftis.
That's pretty fluent of how you said that. With the Buccaneers, I have David, if you want to pronounce that for me. Ojabo. I was thinking Ojabo, but I just didn't want to, mispronounce, Edge, because, again, this is a Super Bowl caliber team, and they don't really have too much areas of need except for that defensive lineman and maybe offensive lineman. Any line help would be beneficial for this team. So that's why I picked Edge.
Nice.
Who did you have?
Who do you have?
Well, who do you have?
Who do you have?
I want to delete this entire slide.
Devontae Wyatt, just because. Yeah, that
for the same reason as me.
Is already really good. I just think like a little tweaking with adding that guy will make it maybe one of the best in the league. Again.
Hopefully. Not hopefully. As long as Tom Brady's not on that team.
What the fuck? You raced?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Packers.
28th pick. I have Darian Kinnard, offensive lineman, because they're not completely dumb, They'll be like, all right, we should help out our offensive needs somewhat. And I mean offensive lineman, and that's why I picked him. That's the sole reason why. Your turn to share and tell.
Daxton Hill, safety. You had him going way earlier, right? Where was that? Shit. Vikings at 12? I say 16 later.
Oh, you're wrong.
Packers will take him. I think this is definitely a position of need, and I think that'll be actually a really good backfield once they get a really good rookie safety. So, yeah.
Yes. Speaking of Chiefs, that I said earlier, a little bit earlier, they have back-to-back picks, 29 and 30th.
Wow.
And I have Arnold Appetite. Edge rusher, because they need defensive help.
They do
They defensive help and offensive lineman help. But I feel like they're going to focus a little bit on the defense because their defense shaped up last year, but they were off to a rough start.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Rough start. Last year I feel like they just need to get to a stronger start. So I feel like they're going to pick up a defensive player.
I think they're going to be dumb and choose a wide receiver, which, I mean, it's not dumb. I just feel like that's something they could get later, but I think they'll address it. One of these two picks, at least.
I mean,
So I got Jahan Dotson.
if you have fucking Juju as your top receiver, I feel like that's not.
I mean, it's not dumb to get a wide receiver, but this early, I don't think they need to. At 29, I don't think that's like a pick you would say, like, oh, we have to get one here. You know, you can trade back or whatever. Or even just wait for your second round. But with their 30th, I have him getting a cornerback, which is also a position of need because they got torn up by the Bengals. Cornerback was bad. So Andrew Booth, right there.
I have Miles Sanders. Defensive. I honestly. Miles Sanders. I honestly don't know why I picked this guy. I could not tell you because I did not.
Back-to-back defensive.
That's why.
Crazy.
That's why I could not tell. I could not tell you why I chose that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
number 31. We both have defensive back guys, but not exactly the same position.
Yes. They just need help on that defensive side. What they got
a little help.
Yeah, they've been getting torn apart here and there. But I think one of their main needs that they need to focus on is offensive line help too. And I think they have a. No, they don't. I thought they had an earlier pick as well for some reason, but I feel like they're going to get offensive linemen later in the draft and elsewhere within free agency, maybe down the line.
I think they've already gotten a good offensive lineman as well. I forget who, but I remember that being a conversation like, oh, Bengals addressed it. So, whatever. Kyler Gordon is who I have, cornerback. Yeah, Eli Apple's bad, so.
He's so bad.
Lions via the Super Bowl winners Rams. You have a big prediction here. I think this is major.
I have Desmond Ritter.
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 I like
Desmond
this
Ritter.
guy. I think he's good.
Yes. With this pick, I don't think they're going to necessarily start him right away. It may be a take 1 or 2 years to have him implemented, but I think they're going to stay strong with Jared Goff for a little while. But I think this is a good placement quarterback. Maybe it's just to see where he kind of develops later down the line. Maybe if he does end up being good, maybe it's some trade value. If Jared Goff ends up being better, because Jared Goff is still young, but I feel like they may keep him for trade value like Eagles did with Jalen Hurts when they picked him in the second round.
I have a theory.
No, you don't.
That if he slips the Colts, they might just take him. But I don't think he'll slip. I think there will be a team that will take him before us. And we'll end up getting a wide receiver in the second round. But as far as my last pick of this prediction that took way too long, I have Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean, of course. Linebacker, Lions. I think he's just like he's just that coach on that Lions. He just likes those physical guys. They're the type of team right now that would take a linebacker first round. You know, I mean, that's kind of how I look at it.
I agree.
Shut up.
The camera just died when we just finished the podcast. I hope that saved the recording. Imagine if it didn't save the recording.
Doesn't it usually?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it does when it dies, but I don't know if it does.
Doesn't it just go like straight to the SD card? That's why I can't record without an SD card.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is like it was still recording and it died mid-recording, so I don't know if it stopped the recording.
I mean, yeah, I think it would just like end the file, yeah. Just because
Yeah.
it's already going to the SD card. Like, what's
Yeah.
the SD card going to do? Trash it? It can't just trash it, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. But we've been going for an hour and 39 minutes.
Not long enough.
Do you want to just like continue talking for the rest of the day?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna start editing my project. You want to just like keep the podcast going while I do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Imagine if we did that. We just have like an editing session on the podcast. But yeah, so we're going to end this here. This was a really long podcast. We got free agency. We dived into the draft. Bye. I'm coming for Titus. He's a little bitch.
Stay tuned for the live draft special. We're gonna live stream it. That's right. Yes. Tune in on what is it? Thursday. Fuck. It's on Thursday, isn't it?
You wanna fuck?
No.
Did you say you wanna fuck? Why'd you say that?
I didn't say that.
You said you wanna fuck the toy dog. Why did you say that you would wanna
They
fuck
can
the toy
hear
dog?
me. They know I didn't say that, so they just know you're lying.
Shut the fuck up. Why would you say you wanna fuck the toy dog? Alright, I'm ending it here. Bye.
Ow.